So hello again. This time I'd like to introduce my approach to baseline sequencing with the Droid eurorack system here. And this is my new patch, and I have designed it here for the same mini system consisting of the Droid master, 2 P2P8s and 1 P10 that you would at least need to run this patch. And the main idea is that we have 4 channels here available, where each of the channel I'm dialing in one node, and these nodes then are run on separated algoquencers on top of each other. So it's just a staggering of those 4 algoquencers, and the one node that becomes audible is always the one with the highest priority, which you can also assign to each of the channels. So I may just start a sequence here. We're hearing the TR-08 in the background, just not to get bored. And you cannot hear any baseline yet because I have not dialed in any of the 4 channels here. Therefore they are all dimmed here by LED indicating you that all channels are empty. So we go here to the page where you can do this and enter the menu to select the first node. Here we are seeing a little piano roll. The left bottom column represents the white keys, the right column the black keys, starting here from C, D, E, F. Then we flip over to the second part, G, A, H and C again. So as soon as we choose one node here, the C for example, we can still don't hear anything because the activity is set to 0. So if I slowly crank it up, you can see this LED here representing the pulses of this algoquencer. Here we can increase the gate length a bit. The baseline is played by the TB03 from Roland, and so we can now maybe dial in a second node. And the third node. If we don't like this sequence, we can here make a reroll of each of the algoquencers. That's better. And now you can see here in the mute page that these are active. This is convenient, as if you cannot hear one of the channels, you know that this is not related to the activity settings or to the priority that you give them, but rather that you just have not dialed in any of the nodes. So at the moment all channels have the same priority, but we can reduce one. So we go give this the lowest priority, this an intermediate priority. So in case that 2 nodes are played at the same time, that priority will decide which one become audible. Here in this menu we can change the length of the sequence. Now it's a 16-step sequence. We can change this to an 8-step sequence. This is the global activity parameter that is just added linearly to these activity sets per channel. Here in the note selection menu, this button here up sets the octave, so can choose between 3 octaves. Now I have increased the note by 1 octave of the second channel here, or we can make it one deeper. In the presets you have also 2 algoquencers, one that is modulating the gate length and one that is modulating the accents. So and here you can change which function this pot has, whether it changes the algoquencer of the gate length or the algoquencer of the accents. So now I made it lit, meaning that we can access the accents here. And if this crank this up here, it means that more notes will play it with an accent, or less notes. And if I don't like the pattern that we hear with the distribution, I can just make a reroll. Now you can notice that we changed the accents. And the same for the pattern length. So I changed the behavior here of this pod. Now I change the distribution of the gate length variations. Making more long notes available, and depending on the synth voice that you're running, longer notes will run into ties, as you can hear now. If I reduce this, then more short notes will play. And if you like, now the algoquencers for the gate length variation and the accent variations, they run independent of the length of the sequence, but so the notes are repeating by 8 steps, as we have set the pattern length to 8, but the variation of accent and gate length are still running a 16 sequence, which is quite nice. If you don't like this behavior and would like to also affect the gate length and activity by the length of the sequence, you can just make a long press. Now it's fully 8 steps repetitive. Deactivate this again. Now it means the accents are again running their 16-step sequence. What else can we do? Here we have octave transposition by 2 octaves up and 2 octaves down. This is the same for the for semitones up and down. Here it's blinking, it means that we have chosen a semitone. I was not aware, maybe I did that before. So we enter here the menu page. We see we have transposed the sequence by 2 semitones up. So if we deselect this, this is now the original sequence. And you can maybe we can dial in the fourth note that I didn't have done this now. We can go octave up, and then maybe reseat. Can change the priority here. Then we can rotate the patterns also, and we can do this individually for each of the 4 channels with these buttons here. If this is lit, it tells you no rotation is applied. Here we can choose which of the channels shall be rotated. So maybe we choose the last ones and have them rotated now by 1 step. And we have rotated them by 2 steps. And now if maybe we like only to rotate the second one once more, we just select this one. And as in this way you can easily lose track of how many rotations were applied to each of the channel. You can also visualize the rotation state by a long press of that button. Then you activate the X1 register. Now you see here by the LEDs that we have shifted this channel here, the third one, by 3 steps to the back. So if we move it back again to step 2, or we rotate it by 4 steps, by 5 steps, whatever we like. And say if we change this, and I think the other channel here was still at 3, so we can visualize that one. Yeah, no, that is at 2 at the moment. Okay, fine. If we rotate it back to 0 and we have this X register on, 1, 0 number will not be visualized here, so even though this channel is activated for visualization, we don't see anything, so then we know it's at 0. We can switch the X1 register off. Then this also here allows you to do fills on the individual channels. So say we like do fills by the first and the second channel. Here set the fills order. So we crank up the fills parameter. So now we get variations of the sequence. We can maybe play it with the frequency. Then this was the rotation. Yeah, here we can have we have a nice performance feature. If in this basic mode the channels are evaluated by their priority that we have given here, and here we can turn on another mode where at the beginning of each bar these priorities are randomly set different, and so each bar you have a different combination of your basic notes. And the second press is then that you every 8th note, so every second beat in this case, the priority is changing. And if you press again, then you switch back to normal mode, what you have dialed in manually. This is the offbeats parameter that tells you at what part of the sequence the random variations are made, either at the second half of the bar or at the first half of the bar. And this is the distribution, whether no, sorry, this is the offbeats means at what beats, the odd or the even beats, the variations are done, and this is the distribution, so whether at the beginning of the bar or at the second half of the bar. And so that was this one. What else do we have here? This was the fills parameter and the rotation of the channels. This is the fills order. This is the branches parameter. So we can also use, instead of fills, we can use the branches parameter to get some variations. Now every second beat, every second bar, the random, these seeds are chosen differently. And here the second column here of these little pots of the P10, they is a split pot. To the left half is the morph parameter, no, the déjà vu parameter, and the right side is the morph parameter, so you can introduce some random variations to your channels. And I forgot to mention the gate length parameter. If you run into ties, then this will also activate slides. As you can hear now, if you turn this button to the left, and not the accent is activated, but the gate length. Now we turn off or suppress any slides. If you crank this up, you get slides. Yeah. And here the last menu, finally you have your presets on 2 pages, so you have 2x8 preset positions for saving and loading, so in total 16 sequences can be saved. And you save this, for example, long press here. And if we now change to something else, then the new sequence is always loaded at the beginning of the next bar. And this is a global mute button. That is quite obvious. And one maybe last remark on the mute function here. If you mute individual channels, the nodes do not just get silenced and removed from the sequence, but the entire algo sequencer that is driving these channels is excluded from the generation of the pattern. So if you mute a channel that has a high priority, for example, then that means that other channels that maybe were suppressed by the high priority now have the chance to become audible. So if you mute channels, it means that the pattern may also change. Yeah, essentially this is what you can do here. Enjoy!